Okay students, in this session we are going to see how to connect our front end with using the servlet, how to connect with the backend database, right? So we are going to have a flow like the essential similar thing. Here I'll be having, I'll design a login form or something. I'll just have the username and I'll be having the password. So now whenever I do the typing of my username and password and submit, so whatever before this I need to create the table, right? So I should be able to create a table in my database. Sorry. So in my database I'm going to have three columns. One is user ID, user underscore ID, and next I'm going to have username, user underscore name, and I'm going to have password. So these are the three fields I'm going to put under a table name called users, and this users is under the schema or database called as the WDD. So this structure I need to first create in my any database which you are preferring to store all your details. So now in this case I'm using MySQL. So I download MySQL workbench, and in this MySQL is 3306, right? Port number, the local host it is running on this, so I can click on this and it is requesting for password. So now I give the password here, so it will be opening. In this I already created the database here, WDD. So how to create this database is you can use this, create a new schema only we call it as a database, right? So if I click on this new schema, you can give your schema name. So I have created this WDD. Now for example I create WDD1 now this is, and I have to click the apply, and this is whatever we create using the query in our Oracle. I think you have studied this, create schema name, right? So I have done. So I click apply. So whenever this is a user interface, right? I can just use the icons and create the table which we are doing already in the Oracle. Next is inside this WDD, if I need to create tables, views, or store procedures or functions, I can make use. Now I'm going to create the table. So create table name I can give, so I can give users. And next if I want to add the columns, just click on this. If I want ID of the users, and it should be a primary key and it is not null. And second column I need a username, right? So username, it should also be not null, and I can have password. So password I need, so how many columns you need, everything can be created here, and after creating you can click apply. So the whatever we have created in the table, it is given as a query here. So apply. Now if I go and see under this WDD, I created one table users here, and now if I want to insert the values here, just apply. Okay. Now here I'll be having this structure, right? If I click on this, it will open. Here you can give any value. So 1, I can give any number, and I can give any password. So like this I can keep on adding the values here. Okay, so like this I can keep on adding and storing. So this is the part you have to do on the MySQL side. So once you have done, you can minimize it because I have done with my SQL. Next time your job is to connect this database to my servlet and the front end, through the servlet and to the front end. So I have given the same thing the way previously mentioned, how to create the log. I created one login project. Under that login project I created one index.html where I have the name and password and submit button, and I use the action as a login is a URI, and method is a post here. Now next I created one login servlet. So this login servlet, one thing is we need to use the servlet packages, right? So this I said already discussed in the previous demo. You know what is the meaning and how to achieve all this, right? Friend, you what is if I want to use HTTP servlet, I should have the library, right? In that library files, I should have this Jakarta servlet. That you should, for each and every project, you should put the jar file under this folder library. Next is we are going to connect to the database. For database, we are in this case we are going to connect to the MySQL database. So now if it is a working connectivity should be made within the MySQL database, we need to have that particular database jar file. So that jar file name is called MySQL connector Java. So I'm going to connect my Java servlet with my MySQL. For that we need the packages, supporting packages for that. So I have to download this MySQL connector.java, download this file. So how to, just you can put it in the Google. So I can see, I can put directly like this and I can click on this link. I can download this. Similarly, what are the jar files I'm giving? You can just put in the Google folder and download this and store it under a folder and copy and paste it in the library. The same thing we have done. Next, we should know, once you have put it a Java jar files, we need to work on this, right? So we need to understand the statements which is inside this code. And one more thing is, whenever connecting with the database or network connection or file transfer, everything we should put in the exception handling technique. So first I put all the codes. So first I explain this one, class dot for name. So this represent the class for which the driver is going to be connected with your which driver you're going to connect. Now I'm going to use the MySQL, right? I'm going to connect my MySQL with the Java. For that I have here I'm using com.mysql.jdbc.driver. So this com.mysql connectivity, MySQL and JDBC, Java database connectivity driver should be there. And after getting this driver, so we need a driver. After getting the driver, I should get the connection from the servlet to the database. For that we need to create one connection object which can be applied using the connection class. So connection object and driver manager. So what happened here is, actually I have done everything, all the packages files are done. One second. See, I have SQL. So you have to include these files, that is whatever in SQL is needed for our database connectivity. SQL.connection, SQL.driver manager, SQL.result set, SQL.exception. So whenever I'm downloading this MySQL jar only, these packages will be identified by this particular environment. So this is for getting the driver. Second one is using the connection class. I create a connection object where driver manager dot get connection. So this get connection is very important here. So this is my JDBC, MySQL colon localhost. This port number is a port number in which your MySQL is done. In my case, it is downloaded. It is done in here. 3306. So localhost 3306 here. So that only is given here. So localhost 3306/wdd. This is my database name which I created here. I think you people know that I created one wdd, right? So if you want to use this one, you can use wdd1. So this is a database. So you give your server port number where your SQL server database is running, followed by the database name question mark. User SSL is false. As in default, it make it as a false, and it's a root, and it is a password. Which password you are going to use to log into your MySQL database. So that password I have given. So this connection object should be very correct. If you're not giving the correct port number, if you're not giving the table name, the database name, then this will return the error. It will return a null message only. So always you'll be getting false. Okay, make sure you're giving the correct data port number, database name, and your username and password. So this is a username. My user is a root user. Password. Second step is, this is the first step, getting the driver and getting connection to the database. Second step is to, using the connection statement, we have to create the execution statement. That is, That is, we are going to create the statement what you are going to do. We know that CRUD operations we can perform. CRUD, that is, we can create, we can insert, we can update, we can delete the data from the database. So everything can be possible from this end. From the front end also it is possible to be reflected on the back end here. So in this example I'm going to see how to read the content from the database and use it in our servlet. So similarly we can write this select statement. Instead of that, if I want to insert some data, I can write the insert query here. Insert data, whatever you want to insert. And update also I can do. I can even delete the user also if you don't want. So for that, all queries what you write in your database can be written here using the prepared statement. So the java.sql.prepared statement, PS is the object name. So I can just put this in the top here, java.sql.prepared statement here. In prepared statement, PS equal to connection. So the object which I got my SQL database connectivity, right? Dot prepare statement is a method of this connection. What method I want to do, whether I'm going to perform CRUD operation, what type of CRUD operation, you can write the query. So in our case, I'm going to select the username and password and compare it. If it is matching only, make it success, otherwise return fail message to the user. For that, I have used the select star from users is my table name, where username equal to question mark and password equal to question. This question mark will be replaced here. ps.setString 1 comma name. The name is nothing but the name which I got it from the text box. So I think this you can understand. So string name request, from the request object I got what you typed in the username. So this username is nothing but your this one, the text box number 1, and text box number 2 is user pass. So I'm getting all these two inputs and storing in the variable, local variable name and password. And now I'm passing this name and password. So this gets set string. It is going to set the string for this prepared statement. So first question mark represented by number 1 and 2 represent the second question mark. So what happens when this is executing, the first question mark will be replaced by the value of the name, and the second question mark will be replaced with the value of the password. After this, we will be executing the query. So this is for our reference. We can write, otherwise we can leave the statement. So first thing is get the connection. Second thing is prepare the statement, what you want to perform. That is prepare the operation, CRUD operation, and then set the arguments for that. Then execute the query. For execution, when I execute some database query, it will return some set of data. Select star I given, right? So if it is 2 rows, 3 rows, anything can be done. So we are going to store it in a result set class object. So PS only holds a full query. ps.execute query if I do, then it will be storing in the RS. So now if it is a select operation, we can call it as a query, right? If I want to do the insert operation, a delete operation, or if I want to perform the update operation, I should use execute update. That's another method which is to update the database. If I want to just get the data from the database, we can call execute query. Then whatever the result will be in the RS. So if I call this database connectivity and execute this query on that, if any result is available, this RS will be set to the value, and I can check if RS is holding the value, this will be true, otherwise it will be false. For that I'm returning, this is for checking whether we got any result or not. So that is status a variable, is a normal boolean variable I declared in a local, which is set to false here. Now so this everything is put in the try part, because if any error happens, it will indicate to us this is an error. So rectify that. And this one is I'm checking. After getting, I'm checking. So up to this, it is your database activity. And once you have done, that's what is the output of the status. If the status is true, means what? The matching row is identified. The meaning both are correct. But here I'm just, if it is status is true, print welcome message to the user. Otherwise, we'll give username and password is invalid. So this is the simple code used to get the username and password from the database and validate the user, authenticate the user, right? So that I have done in this login servlet. And as I told, we have a web.xml, each one for every project. So I have used a name, and this is my login servlet is the name of my file. So I given the login servlet class name, and this is a login which I used in the URI pattern, right? So now what we'll do is we'll run this. So I give the name, all I have already name is there, and I given the password and I log in. So once I log in, it gives welcome the username. It is coming. Suppose I give some wrong value. If I give the wrong value, it gives a message username and password is invalid. So this is how I created the connectivity from the front end through the servlet to the database. So this is how you can also have access your database connectivity. Okay, use of this video you can understand how to create the database connectivity through the servlet. Thank you.